Sorry, Chris, I didn't mean to interrupt you. It's really rude that voice just tells everybody, but I guess it's polite. Okay, so then the next question I have is Chris and Johan's different or the same?
Mine's not easy, but it's like to a degree it's easy. I have to find myself. That's the topic essentially, like who Chris is.
Yeah.
I guess that could be for everybody too. Yeah, maybe I jumped in the deep end on that one, but it's something that I could explore with hobbies. Maybe yeah.
Well, you don't need to answer it yet. I was just asking.
I don't know why.
I feel like they go in the same direction, but it's the underlying issue maybe isn't the same. Like, I don't know if Johan would say the words, I don't know who Johan is. It's more of a, I know who he was and can he remain the Johan I know?
Yeah, correct. I am well put, Thomas. That's basically how I would phrase it as well.
Okay, perfect. All right, well then for this session, let's tackle combo Chris and Johan, because I think there are some root things that we can discuss together so we can get those moving forward. And then depending on how far we get, we can tackle some of Tomas's things. Otherwise, we will save it for next session with whatever Lucas brings to the table. Give me 1 second to get these dogs to chill out, and maybe Chris and Johan, if you just want to share for the recording for Lucas, like 2-liners about what you're doing, I'll be right back.
Rad. I grew up doing video and film since the 4th grade. I pursued it as a hobby up until probably teenage years in high school. Started becoming classes, and then which turned into he left, which turned into a career. And then now I'm like trying to find myself individually because so much of me is business. So that's my recap.
Sorry, rubbish internet. I was gone there, so I missed a lot.
Okay, and then Johan, 2 sentences just to recap what you're looking for, so Lucas can hear.
Okay, so I'm looking for basically my active choice being directional of who will I be in the future, which then helps me make the decision to stay awesome and not fall into mundane, very boring personality.
All right, I love it. Okay, so we're going to combo tackling these today. I'm going to first start by asking Tomas, what do you hear in both of what they shared? What pops up for you?
Oh boy. For Johan, I wonder if part of the problem is just we've been in COVID. You know, I'm sure there's still an issue you need to tackle, but just being in Europe recently, it's like things are about to get exciting again. Secondly is I don't know, because we don't have kids, but you know, I don't think being a dad makes you boring. Like, we see people travel with kids all the time, and it's probably just as much a project as anything else. And if you want to let that bog you down and become boring, it's very easy to, but I don't know. There can definitely be maybe not a lot of fuck you, but a lot of rock and roll with having a kid too. Yeah. With Chris, I feel like I can relate maybe like a year ago where a lot of what I was doing was work, and then I let hobbies creep back in a little bit and open that door, and it feels much greater. For me, I did have an idea of what those are. Like, I know for me, language is always this thing, and if I don't do it for long enough, I feel disconnected with myself. From what you said, I don't know if you need to explore like new hobbies or if there are other things like in your past, you know. I don't know if that's really advice, but that's like what I wrote down as you guys were talking.
Yeah. One of the first things that comes to mind for me is, I've talked, I think, before about the Strength Finder test with you guys. And what I love about the Strength Finder test is that it's built on the foundation that there's nothing wrong.
Mhm.
And I really want you guys to kind of take that in a little bit of like, nothing's wrong. Like, this is it and it's perfect. Because if we want to build what's next, if we want to build what's extraordinary, we don't want to build it on the basis of whatever I have now is bad. I see a lot of nodding from you, Chris. What are you processing?
Yeah, I'm digesting. Yeah. It's just building on sand. Like it's just the foundation, right? So
Yeah.
one, that's like built on emotion, horrible. And two, yeah, it's just not sustainable.
Yeah. And so there's a whole mindset shift of, not that we don't take on new things because something's broken or something's missing or something's wrong. We take on new things to add even more great things to our lives. Right? So it's not a sentence of, I don't have any hobbies. It's like, well, no, like how do we reframe what's going on to be awesome? Right? Like there are so many things that you've been doing that are awesome. And I hear an underlying foundation of not good enough, not enough, incorrect, not right. And I would love for that to get deconstructed and like erased and moved away and replaced with things that are positive and affirming and empowering about your current state before moving on to something else. Because
Isn't it a lot about perception, self-perception, and also basically reflection of others people's, assumed perception of you, rather than just, I mean, at least that's what I feel sometimes, that there's a certain expectation on me where it's like, nah, that's not me anymore. I'm fine with it. But then, yeah.
And also, I feel like our perception of our partner's perception of us, early on in moving here, I don't know, we do certain things together, which that's why we are together, but then there's also things we do separately. And like Chris, like I also work with my wife, and it's not always, it's never fights or anything, but it's like what Kara brought up last time about being roommates. It's like, is your couple's identity also the business? I feel like it bleeds into that too.
yeah. Because, yeah, go ahead, Chris.
It's honestly, what I'm feeling now is just a different frequency. There's a lot more layers than there are benefits. There are some setbacks with like being a married couple and working together, but like it really is a dynamic. And yeah, one of the things that I watched back from last week was the date night, Kara, you mentioned too. It was just one of the many notes. I took so many notes on that one. And it's difficult because people, like exactly, Jesse and Kara, you said you high five each other. It's like there's so much more to it. And then when we sit down at a dinner table, per se, like one little scenario, you start talking and you're in the same, it's just all acrylics. It's just all our company, all of it. And we built it that way. So we have to like restructure and rebuild in other areas too, but we see each other nonstop, and that's not good either. So it's that dynamic. And I'm just trying to like even find what all of these pockets, so I'm trying to even just see what, I don't know even what energies I think that follow with it, before I can even dissect it, if that makes any sense. Yeah, it's a lot, obviously. So I don't want to.
I'm pulling up a worksheet that I'm currently downloading, and I'm going to I don't think I can upload it into the chat. Maybe I can. No, it won't let me. It's really dumb. So let me email it to you guys because, and I'll also screen share real quick. So let me reply to all and attach this because this is, I think, critical for you and Johan. Okay, so I just sent it replying to the last Mastermind recap. And okay. Because what I hear, right, is an opportunity. These are the 8 spheres of life. Can you see my screen?
Yep.
Okay, these are the 8 spheres of life that I always check back in, and I'm coaching people to check back in all the time. There's a book, Designing Your Life, right, which is pretty incredible. They also have a workbook that goes with it. And in that book, they have 4 categories. They have health and wellness, play, love, and business. And every time I would work on those 4 boxes, I'd be like, there is stuff missing.
Yeah.
I can be killing it at work. I can have great relationships. I can be doing the health and wellness. I can be doing hobbies, and things are missing. And so I kept playing with like, what is missing? And so what I've added to this are the 4 sides that are on the left: learning, curiosity, money and finances, and self-expression. And how you use this document that I sent out, all the instructions are in here. But essentially, you want to use the center pieces of the pie to score yourself on like a 1 to 5 scale right now. How do you feel about these things? Are they active in your life? And then in the outer section, you can write down actions you can take to explore those areas and how to bring more of it into your life. And when I have clients who are in their early 20s who come to me and say, like, help me find my purpose, we end up going here. I give them my clarity kit, which this is a part of, because so often we don't think that having fun is what we should be doing. And I would challenge it and say, how do we have fun in every one of these spaces? Because to Johan's point, if we're not having fun, why are we doing something? Like, how can there be a rock and roll vibe in all of these places?
Mhm.
Did you guys get this document so I can stop screen sharing? Otherwise, I don't mind screen sharing, but I like being able to focus on your faces.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
So when we talk about these 8 buckets, does any stand out for you guys that you're like, I don't know what that means, or I don't have that one at all?
Let me just pop it up.
Mhm.
I think the first one that caught my mind was just self-expression.
For me to explain it, or that it might be missing?
Missings, yeah, and play.
Yeah. And how I define self-expression is if everything else is kicking butt in these 8 pieces, but you don't like the clothes you have, you don't like your haircut, you don't like your house, you like, it's all the things that allow you to self-identify that can show up. That if you're living in a tent, but you're super healthy, if you don't want to live in a tent, you're not going to be feeling extraordinary. Or in an apartment that's from, 1970s, you're not going to feel extraordinary. The curiosity piece, I sometimes replace that with discovery, but if we're not going out and exploring things just for the sake of seeing what else is over the hill, to me, there's a missing. So what does curiosity, how does that play into our own lives, right? Like for kids, and this ties back to a lot of my, like the 8-year-old self that I always want to go back to and make proud and check in with. They're always learning. They're always being curious. What's that? What does it do? Can I try it? Can I taste it? Like, what do you have? Like, there's things about ourselves that we tend to cut off when we go into very strict discipline, habit, routine, produce results, produce results, produce results. and play, self-expression, learning, and curiosity often get cut off very quickly.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. I mean, it's also performance KPI driven, or I have to push another one because if you don't, you're failure, which is not true. It's basically I had quite some interesting discussions around this with fellow friends as well, saying there were some extreme climbers that had to push themselves until something not physically but mentally broke in them because they pushed everything so hard. There was nothing that you could just do because you enjoyed it. So I've been thinking about this as well, how that applies to things. You know, the curiosity is one thing. You can just push it to the, you know, extreme. Let's just use sports, your career, whatnot. Went for a run today. Looked at my watch because of course I track it. Can't go just, you know, running because you want to do it. No, you track it. I was like, why? It's just the joy, the fun. And then I saw that, like, all right, if I run 300 meters more, I'll get 1 kilometer in, and then this is, you know, it's a nice number. No, I don't. I just stopped there saying, that's it, that's enough, I've had it, which was a powerful decision to make versus to say, I need to push another one so I can get that kilometer in as well. It's like, no, I don't want to. It's not laziness. It's not that I'm not driven enough. It's just, that's it. And for me to strike that balance is really hard, because whenever I say no, I was basically saying, oh, you don't have more in you? And I'm trying to get rid of that, but not falling into mundane. I mean, that goes for all my sort of the things that were in here for me, at least. That's also, you know, powerful decision making is you decide. That's where I'm struggling as well. I can do it on certain things, but not others. Like learning, I feel like I'm in a phase where just I say I want to learn it, but basically that's reading the back of the book and then pretending that I read the book and I contemplate it. Right now, that's not there. It's like a struggle to learn. I'm curious, but I don't want to learn. And that's part of, like, you know, this is what I described before, because before I was eager to learn and just soak things up, and it was great, and you just got to know more people. And now I'm like, you know what? I had this idea going to Munich because there's a lot of tech, there's a lot of startups, and you know, I could go all to these scenes, these like breakfasts and whatnot. I think in the last 4 years I've been to 3 because I just don't have energy, or I want to, but I want to. On the other hand, yeah, I don't know. I'm taking up precious time here, but it's precious for me. I mean, because this is by far right now, it's hitting me very hard and deep, these conversations. So I'm really stressed that I had to leave because I got a table for my parents at a great restaurant, and then I haven't seen them in a year. So that's why I also had to switch clothes between our calls, in between the calls here.
You're looking great.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Thank you, Ray.
At least the guys, we can get together later down and pick this up too. Like, it's not.
Yeah,
I
would appreciate
the next 2 sessions. We can build on that too. So yeah.
And as I mentioned in that last email, I'm going to be kicking off another mastermind set in September.
Yeah.
So we can just keep this group going if you guys want to, right? So there's no stress. There's lots of ways to.
But we do have one powerful session more.
Yes.
And I'm very geared up for that one. It's like,
Good.
I realized that this one is going to suffer because of my spontaneous trip here, but I was willing to pay that price.
Parents are incredible, so please tell them I say hello. What I would ask you to do, Johan, before you have to bounce is, like, look at this document, or even just look at these areas between now and next session, or if you want to send me an email or something, we can jump on a quick call too. But the goal is not that all of these are a 10 at the same time. That would be very irresponsible of us to be like, it all needs to be a 10, right? Because again, it goes back into the force, that goes back into tracking, that goes back into everything has to be perfect. That's not the purpose of this. The purpose of this is to have something to come back to and check in with yourself, whether you do it, maybe it's every week to start, then maybe it's once a month or once a quarter, but
Mm.
You sit down to plan out your year. I do it on New Year's Eve. It's my favorite New Year's Eve activity. I'd rather do that than go to a party because I like to go to bed early. But usually New Year's Eve, it's like, okay, we're going to spend the afternoon, early evening, like doing vision boards and what's next and mapping out the year. This is a great tool to use to start doing that, to say, what do I want to take on? But we don't need to wait for a new year to start doing this. So just think about it, look at it. Great conversation to ask your parents about too. How do they stay balanced? But
yeah, appreciate it. I will do that. You send me that link to your calendar and I'll put something in.
yeah,
And let's just do one-on-one on that one. And I'm eager to listen to the rest of the conversation. So I'll just hand over to you, Chris, there.
Oh God, yeah. It's like, I'll try to keep it tight and clear as possible because this is new for me too. So yeah.
Yeah. No, this would mean a lot to me. Thank you so much. And yeah,
have
now
fun.
it's time to eat. Thank you so much. All
Yeah.
right. Take care, you guys. Fellas. Bye-bye.
I didn't want to take more time, but I did that last week. I had to miss the session because I was going to family too for the year, or I missed them for the year with the baby. And yeah, anyways, that's where we're at.
Listen, this whole mastermind is for you guys to have an extraordinary life and business. So if the extraordinary life and business is occurring because of the mastermind, like that's okay.
Yeah.
Right. So that's okay. So, diving into you, Chris, right? Like,
Oh God.
oh God, no, I mean, this is, I'm excited for your problem. Honestly, everyone's problem. I'm like, ooh, yay. Because like, we had an astrologer on the podcast recently. So her episode's coming out maybe next week. And it was really interesting because she's a very normal person. She's like very coach environment. And she's like, all these people are doing all these other quizzes and personality tests, and they have coaches for everything nowadays. She's like, we still haven't gotten to a place where people are looking at astrology in a way where like, how can it help me? And I thought that was an interesting conversation. And she's like, even though secretly, a lot of people read their horoscopes all the time, right? Or people say who they are is very much whatever their sign is. And one thing that we were talking about is I've noticed for myself that I go through pretty consistent cycles, whether it's like a 7-year cycle, like there's a cycle that I know happens, right? And we were talking about that, and she's like 100%. She's like, if we look at from an astrology perspective, like Saturn goes through people's lives like every 12 years, there's an impact, and because of how the universe is set up, different things have different lengths of cycles and different impacts based on where you are in the astrological chart from all the things. I'm just bringing this up because we are so hard on ourselves, as Tomas mentioned earlier. And we expect like all things to be working all the time. And we don't give ourselves space to go through different seasons and to go through different growth cycles. If you remember back a couple of sessions ago, I talked about like the gravitational, how to leave gravity.
Yeah.
Like we have to remember that we are not a straight line. We are not like exponential growth. We really are this growing spiral, which means we're going to circle back through different challenges again at different levels, right? I see clients all the time. First, it's like, how do I hire one person? Okay, now I'm struggling because I have 10 people and I have to level up again as a leader. And now I have 100 people. I have to level up again as a leader. So these level ups happen no matter what we do. So again, I'm saying this because I heard in your initial share, like really beating yourself up.
Yeah, it's a total. It sucks because I lean right to my mom. It's like a cement wall on her on that sense, not a support. It's like she always kept me like very in line.
Mm-hmm.
Was never good enough, and she was a teacher, so I was like school driven.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it just reflected like I was born, the foundation that we said before. It's like that's what I was built from. So yeah, that's.
And what's wrong with that? Nothing.
Nothing. No, it's to kind of be progressive in my perspective right now. It's interesting because I went to bed last night, and I do this often. I just meditate before I go to sleep. Just think. I guess it is meditative, but there's no structure to it. I just think on things. And the cool part was that like I get to play now, like explore play. I've never done that before. I've explored, oh, how do I get sales? How do I get this tactic for business, et cetera? Like keep going down. Social media, how many posts per day? What time? Kind of like the tracking on your wrist when you ran. Like it's a blessing. It really is. I'm like, I'm walking into the space of like, wow, like I can enter this room space where I don't need any structure, and it's really weird for me. Yeah.
Yeah. Something that I think will be really important for you and Alex to talk about is making sure that you have the space to lean in on self-expression, curiosity, learning, and play.
Yeah.
Because especially, our partners, as Thomas mentioned earlier, they are good at moving us in different directions, but they're also good at keeping us in one space. So it's like, okay, I'm going to start doing X, Y, or Z now, which means I can't do A, B, and C like I did before. So having that conversation about making space, especially if it's a request from them, right? So like making sure that's talked about, because if it's just you and you're a single person with no family, no kids, you can just do whatever the hell you want, whenever you want. Don't need to explain to anybody because the expectations are different. And so discussing how people evolve and how people grow, and is there room for everyone to do that? And what does that look like? I think it'll be really powerful because you can make it a game, right? Just like we talked about, okay, date nights once a week. Cool, once a week, I'm going to go do something I've never done before. I promise I won't risk my life or our relationship, and bye, right? Like, what does that look like? And so it's actually quite fun. It might feel scarier, but as a coach, it's much easier to guide people into those 4 areas we talked about than it is to guide people into structures that create sustainability for success.
Absolutely. Yeah.
It's the habits that you already have are harder to teach than the fun ones.
Yeah. Yeah.
If I may chime in, I think something that helps is also putting it in the calendar. Even so, we did go on a date last Friday, which I scheduled on our last call, and it just helped. Like now, nothing else can go there. Same with time for yourself. I took a solo trip, 2 months ago after like a year of too much work, and then one day that was in the calendar, and it was awesome. I feel planning it can just be kind of a guarantee you get to it, and it's not like last on your list.
Yeah.
I have the boundaries workshop I'm doing today at 12 Pacific time, and we had our first conversation in Thrive last week, and it was perfect because it was the Thursday before a long weekend, and we started talking about time boundaries. And I'm like, okay, who's freaking out about taking a long weekend and not working or managing clients' expectations? Everybody's hand went up in the group call. And so I said, we were talking about like, how do you put limits in? How do you stop working at 5? How do you make sure you're doing these other things you care about? What do you think was the solution? The most effective way? You plan super exciting things in your calendar at 5 o'clock. 5 o'clock, like whatever, like if you want an extraordinary life, just as Tomas said, you put in your calendar. If you have super hot date night at 6 o'clock, you have to stop, right? Like I want things outside of work to be more exciting than work.
Your like I love it because it's echoing even the last call. And I wrote when I had that on YouTube, I was watching. I immediately went to my calendar, and I have it blocked off from 5 to midnight every day. But the team can see my calendar, and I made this one. And this one was just private, so it's like, oh, Chris had like every day. It's becoming like a cycle where they're like always off at 5, but like, you know, he'll get back to messages. And I wrote in the thing, from 5 to midnight, because of the YouTube video, I made it public for our entire team to see instead of private, and it was open, saying Chris is out of office and will not respond to any of your text emails. And I put a smiley face, not to be a dick, but now they'll see that and like they'll get it, because I've had enough. So thank you for, yeah. So that's just one step, right? I got to keep going. Yeah.
So now the next step is, what do you want to fill that time with?
Yeah. Let me write that question down as we speak, because yeah.
And you know, one of my clients hasn't taken a vacation in 3 years, which is why she called me. And she's now taken 2. She's learned that she can not work and the business doesn't collapse. And she went even farther without my coaching. And she made a commitment to getting tennis lessons, which she's never done before, with 2 friends twice a week.
Yeah.
And so she's like, the best part is that my tennis coach will not let our phones be on the tennis court. So I have to just tell clients I'm really not available from this time to this time.
Yeah.
And not so she's doing health and fitness or wellness. She's doing play and she's learning. She's like checking off half these boxes with one thing. And I just finished reading this book, Rhinoceros Success. And it's fast read, it's humorous, it's all about how to be a rhinoceros, and that's like how to have the best life possible. But one of the requirements of being a rhinoceros is doing something you've never done before at least once a week.
Yeah.
And like, it doesn't need to be jumping out of an airplane once a week, right? But it's going to a new restaurant, like driving down a new street, talking to a stranger in a coffee shop. Like it's just something that you wouldn't have done. And some people even block out on their calendar, like Friday afternoons, when they block out 2 hours, it says, go get lost. And you just leave your house, buy whatever mode of transportation you want, your feet, a bike, a car, a skateboard, and you just go wherever you feel like going for 2 hours. Because you never know what you're going to pass. And that's part of this extraordinary or the ridiculous list, is you have to get lost and just be like left, right, like just be random with what you're doing for a little while, because you literally never know what you will find.
I'm going to there's a trail over here. I'm going to put it in for tomorrow. Whoa, it's already Friday. Yeah, tomorrow. I'm going to go walk this trail that I want to do. Yeah. Damn, that's cool.
And this, again, that's a really fun game that you can play with a partner. Like, okay, every week we're going to go and do something that we've never done before by ourselves, and maybe something together. And we all know that relationships thrive on having something new to talk about.
Yes. And I'm stuck. Yeah. It's just so, everyone's doing it too. I'm not alone, I assume, but we're getting stuck in these bubbles. COVID didn't help either, because you're at home working together on Zoom. Yeah.
So your challenge, Chris, is I want you to make a list of things that sound ridiculous and fun. I don't care if they're free, $5, dumb, small, big, huge. I don't care what it is. And I think honestly, everybody should make this, because why not? Life is way more fun if you're tracking a ridiculous list than if you're tracking how many miles you ran.
Yeah, I think I want to just acknowledge, like, thank you guys for Kara, number one, setting this up, and the entire crew here. Like, it's helped a lot for me. And that's magic in itself. I think that's it. I'm trying to even cope in words, but and then yeah, experiencing it together.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There's 2 guys at least that I would love to add into this group if we keep this group going, because there's so many smart, powerful, entrepreneurial people I know who are in this space of like really about to break through to the next level, right? There's what's next, right? Like with Tomas, it's like, what's next with these companies, right? Like you can feel the pressure of like the bubble on your head. You're like, I've hit the ceiling, like Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. Like, when do I break through? And sometimes that happens more in one area of our life than another, but we should, when we feel that pressure, I now get excited because I'm like, ooh, we're going to break through and I do not know what's on the other side.
Yeah.
And now it's like it stresses you out. But I really want you to keep practicing, like, you know, giving yourself acknowledgement for everything that you do have. So it becomes an and, not a but conversation.
Yeah.
Like, I love my work. I am a videographer. I love skateboarding. I'm a husband. I'm a dad. I'm Canadian. Like, I've moved abroad. And I'm now learning how to cook Thai food because that sounds fun, right? Or whatever it is. Can you hold on 1 second, please? I think this is my screen door guy. 1 second.
No problem.
Using to
I need one of those guys. I need to get a screen door guy too.
We have someone cleaning up part of our yard right now.
Where are you at now? Like,
oh, so this is home. So this is Nashville.
Nashville.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so it's in the South. So just evergreen, not evergreen, but things grow fast here because it, rains frequently, but there's a lot of sun. So it's like one thing we could do, but we don't really super enjoy is yard work. We have the yard for it. But like I mow the lawn and it's fine, but it's not one of the things we really do.
Delegate it.
Yeah. So we found this dude. There's this East Nashville Facebook group, has like 70,000 people. And if you have odd jobs, that's where you post them, or big jobs too. Like saw something for modeling recently, like have found a web design gig there too. But yeah, this dude, I don't know, he's probably like 65. He's just pulling out some weeds and cleaning up the flower bed. So yeah.
It's interesting, the delegating, and it's also interesting is Alex and I moved into when we were in SoCal, we moved into this brand new rental unit. It was a phenomenal space. But Carrie, you said, popped up in this document, it was like you have to be in the space. Was it self-expression category where it empowered me, and it honestly still, California is still top shelf for me, but Vancouver in ways too. Anyways, it was top shelf, and I was like, well, if I didn't, now looking back, reflecting on that, if I didn't go top shelf when I had that time, like no kid, no dog, no responsibility, essentially, I would have regretted it. And it's interesting that, just that self-expression, but then delegating too. It's like, why for me am I always battling that like, why, like I should be cutting the grass, I should be cleaning my home, but it's like frowned upon on my, it makes sense to delegate it, right? Like, you get a more fulfilling life out of it. And then I think I'm like, then you get a more fulfilling life out of play. If you talk about play, like if I'm on the tennis court with no phone, I don't even like tennis, but I would love to try that. I would love to do tennis now. Like it's so I just want to say that because I shared something the other day with another friend, and they were like, I said that out loud too. And I want to share a little bit more, because as crazy as my headspace is, I'm sure what I said before is we all can relate to it.
Yeah, there's nothing crazy about it at all, right? So
Johan said it too. Sorry, Johan said it before he left. He's like, I don't want to take time. I'm like, you are speaking what I said yesterday to me. Like,
yeah. No, there's nothing crazy about what you're thinking or feeling or going through at all, right? It's just being self-aware enough to be like, this box is small. Like I've grown out of it.
Yeah.
So just because you grow out of whatever cocoon you're in right now doesn't mean that you have to throw that away. It's just like, no, we're just going to move to a 2-bedroom. We're going to move to a mansion. Like, just
Yeah.
keep growing. And
Yeah.
along the way, we always KonMari and purge, right? Like, nope, yes, that's okay. So just keep doing that with your life.
Yeah.
One thing, because what you brought up, Chris and Johan, I definitely experience at different cycles in my life, and also constantly. And one thing that got me thinking recently that has brought me some clarity with my issue is journaling. It's guided journaling, and one of the things is like write your tombstone epitaph and your what do they call the other thing at a funeral? What's that?
Eulogy?
Yes.
Yeah.
And just all the things I want to be remembered for, like design, web design just doesn't make it to that list.
Yeah.
I still enjoy it. Like it gives me energy. Like I get to learn, I get to meet, like it, and it brings in money. So it's like, it's a good career, but I also realized it's just a career. Like it's not who I am.
Mhm.
And that kind of brought some peace of mind in a way.
Yeah.
2 quick things. One, everything is delegatable, literally everything. And the most extreme thing that I have delegated is, and this is recent, this is a personal conversation, but like we've started working with a fertility clinic, and I literally delegated that task. I was like, I'm not doing it. I don't even know where to start. I called my friend who's a doctor who's like baby obsessed. I'm like, figure this out. Bye. She did all the work for me, all of it.
Wow.
I just had to show up to a call. Okay, cool. It took me 3 years not to do it until I just told someone to do it for me. And it was free, right? Well, it's free for her to do the work for me. So if that can be delegated, like anything can be delegated, right? Anything can be delegated. So quit doing anything you don't like doing. Just stop, right? It's one of the boundary conversations that is going to be talked about today and then the rest of this month, because why to bringing up that life is too short. Why are we doing things that we think we should do? I don't care about shoulds. We have to choose, do I want this? If you say I want a retirement account, then cool, go invest and make sure that you're committing to your retirement account every month. You can do boring things if you just, boring things in quotes, because who says they are, but you just got to choose it, to Johan's point. Like, what do you want? And just say, I want that. I'm going to do it. That's it. We don't need reasons. There's in the Landmark program, there's this whole thing of like, you just choose chocolate or vanilla, choose every time. And when someone asks you why, Jesse's response is always, I like Skittles. It'll have nothing to do with what we're asking. And it makes me so annoying because as a person, I want to know the why. Like, I think it's just interesting conversation and dialogue. I don't really care what the answer is. I'm just curious. But he'll always just say, I choose Skittles. And I'm like, I know that that's a psychological game plan, but that's not the answer I'm looking for.
Yeah.
But you don't need a why. You don't need to justify the choices that you make or don't make. So that's one of the bundles. The other thing that you were bringing up, Tomas, about like this job isn't my career. It's not the love thing that I want to be doing. I want everybody doing their love thing. And selfishly, I'm like, I never want you to leave. Like, you're part of my core team. No, but the other side of me is like, stop doing it, right?
Yeah.
But there's also opportunities to have businesses that we're not emotionally attached to, that we also don't do work for. Like, I'm talking to Jordan about, my sister Jordan gets referrals every day for to work on podcasts, to do audiobook recordings. And I'm like, Jordan, I can make this into a business for you where you never need to work again and you don't need to do the work. And she's like, how is that possible? I'm like, well, people want you because of how you do business, your standards of excellence. Yeah. We just need to make that into an SOP, train other people. And it's just saying sales yes and delegating it because you've trained people in like the Jordan method. And that's an opportunity I see for you as well, Tomas, because who you are as a web designer is so different than other web designers because one, you care, two, you know story, like you realize how it fits into a bigger picture, that I don't refer any other web designer to anybody, because I know that you're a holistic thinker. And because the language matters to you, the copy matters to you, the word choice matters to you, the visuals do. Like there's just things you get that other people don't. So when people are really good at something and they're like a magnet for work they don't want, business coach in me goes ding, ding, ding. Like you have a methodology that if you can write that methodology down, other people can do the work and you can still have it funnel through you as a way of doing business and a way of seeing that craft. So something to think about.
Yeah, and I am thinking, because I mean, we've had similar conversations, or you know, I've attended this or that of your, like I know those things. My main struggle with it right now is time more than anything, because one of the things I am is detail oriented, and is also then the strength of the sale. So for those SOPs to live, it's like I don't want to be working till midnight every day, like to, you know, like, do I spend my energy there right now or not? And also, don't get me wrong, like there's definitely things I love about web design, but like language also wasn't on that list for my tombstone epitaph. So it's a balance and it's a puzzle. But yeah, I definitely want to dig in more.
Yeah.
Because I need like actionable things. Because as soon as I have like yes to this, no to that, it just becomes way easier to make decisions on a day to day. And like, what's that?
You made boundaries.
Yeah, and I don't know. We'll have business ideas and just another website. Like, okay, I'm just not gonna pursue that for now.
Yeah. No, what there's in the workshop today, there's like the top 5 boundaries that we need: time, money, but the last one is strategic boundaries. When do we say yes or no to a new opportunity? When do we say yes or no to a new product, service, marketing activation? Because if you start tapping into your creative genius, it doesn't stop. Like my coach is like, okay, we don't need to worry about new ideas. Like that's not the issue. And for most people, that's not the issue. It's when is it the right idea for me?
Yeah.
And so when I was working in the corporate world, I made my box with 4 corners of when I would say yes to a new job. Did it allow me to travel to new places? Was I learning some more things? Was I inspired by the people who were my bosses or on the team? Like, did I feel like I would grow because of them? And were we making cool shit? Those are my 4 corners. It had nothing to do with money, title, location, daily tasks. Like that wasn't there, because most of those things are the same no matter what job you have. But those are my 4 corners. So that you have something to chew on between now and we tackle more of like how to focus your time, I would say, what are 4 corners that you want to be required for how you choose to spend your time? And you may need to create like a 3-phase system of how does it work right now? How long is that system? And then when do you move into phase 2 and when do you move into phase 3?
Yeah, that's all of the above.
Yeah.
I need.
Yeah. So just work on the 4 corners, because that will show you a lot. Because very similar to the tombstone epitaph, the 4 corners are things that you care about at a much more holistic level. And so that will be helpful. In Powerful Ladies, I put a 2-month lead time minimum. We're not doing anything that's less than 2 months in advance.
Wait, what do you mean?
Like new ideas. Like if people are like, let's do another powerful conversation series, I'm like, okay, cool, but it's going to be in October. Like everything has to be at least 2 months out, because we need more time to market it. We need time to make it, to do all the steps, right? Like it's really putting a realistic calendar in, because sure, can we make something happen in 24 hours? Yes. Is it ever successful? No.
Or maybe kind of, but worth it
Exactly. It's not the ROI.
compared to these other spheres. Yeah.
Yeah.
You guys really solidified something last session too, and it was just the integrity discussion. And I
Mhm.
was like, I like big brands because people know them, and I talk to them at a Thanksgiving meal, and my uncles know, oh, Nike or whoever you're working with, right? General. But what I found with the last call you all had was those companies not only have the budgets and the vision to that, to me, it's silly, but it's the integrity. They have the integrity to show up on meetings. And I'm realizing that I'm chasing these medium-sized companies who don't have these boundaries. And again, thank you for bringing that up last session, because it greatly impacted it. I'm like, I don't have to do, like, I'm getting goosebumps right now, honestly, because I don't have to chase 100 clients per week and quantify that. It's mundane. It's exactly what Tomas just said. It's like, it's just another website. I create just videos. I will be creating other videos, purposeful videos, or do it. Yeah. Like Lululemon, for instance, I was on the call with them yesterday, and they're all about health and wellness, about your life that happens to sell product. You know, Gymshark to an extent is, yeah, they're kind of edgy and cool, but it's fitness again, it's bettering yourself. And it really focused up on the integrity of another reason why I go to those companies. Yes, their DC Shoes is on the wall and it's amazing, and they have Danny Way jumping the Great Wall of China, but it's purposeful in progression of that sport. It's, yeah, and thank you for bringing that up last session too, because they're big things I'm taking, and and this is just one of them as well. Like,
Well, and circling back to that, and Tomas's question as well, on my last call with my coach, we mapped out how to make my business $1 million, and I could not believe how easy it was.
It's so like, I need to say this for me, Gravisa, you're gonna watch this back. It is so easy. It's possible. If easy is not the word, it is possible. It really is. It really is.
Yeah.
Or simple.
Yes, it was. I like being a being able to do it for somebody else, and then like doing it in 10 minutes for myself. I was like, $1 million is not enough. Like, that's how I left the conversation. And I could not believe how close it is.
Yeah.
Because I hadn't put that big of a number on paper yet.
This is what I wrote the other day from your session too.
Yes.
Like, it's right next to my webcam, because it's literally, that's how I'm playing it. It's not safe. It's 2 inches away. It's right there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So the mastermind groups that I'm creating for September, 2 out of the 3 are going to be strategies for your $1 million plus business. I don't care how big you are right now. It literally doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And again, it's like, when we look at this sphere of life and all these buckets, where I love that you and Johan on this call came with questions that declared, and you guys may not have noticed it, you declared, I'm breaking free of whatever my previous boundaries were. Yeah. That's huge. You can't, that's a prerequisite for living your ridiculous and extraordinary life. And so now that you're like, I'm breaking free, whatever I had was not big enough. I got that. I can see that. I want more. Awesome. Just start doing.
Yeah.
You know, and like, literally, it's like, what do you want to, you and I talked about this, I think, before with, on your podcast. The most powerful questions. Wouldn't it be fun if? What if? What do you think about? You know, like, just, and I like the wouldn't it be fun if, because fun is a recurring motivator. If something's fun, we do it. If it's fun, we don't need discipline. If it's fun, we don't need a habit. It's already built in. wouldn't it be fun if I can make $1 million talking about lollipops on YouTube? Like, I don't care what it is. I do not care what the back half of that sentence is. But I'm going to challenge everybody. This will be in the recap. I want you guys to come with at least 20 things that are an answer to wouldn't it be fun if?
Oy, 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 oy.
Yeah. And the rules are time and money and degrees of separation do not matter.
Yeah, this is so, I think you just have to be it and live it. I can't even explain what we're even discussing. Like it's so out of my realm. Yeah.
And you said words that really matter. You know, somebody sent me a message the other day and I was like, this is the best text I've gotten in like a week. And they're like, really? I was nervous to send it. And I just decided, fuck it. I'm like, fuck it is a business plan. Like people don't want to believe it, but fuck it is a plan. And you know, what do we think we're waiting for? What do we think we need? Nonsense. Again, 8-year-old you is not like, I'm going to need $1 million and permission. And like, no, an 8-year-old you runs out of the house and forgets shoes and a toothbrush. Like,
Yeah.
So like, how do we keep coming back to that? And
yeah.
You know, a client yesterday sent me a text and I'm going to read it verbatim. And I'm also going to read my response. They said, hey, I have to commit to this workshop by tomorrow. The cost is $100. If I cancel later, I only get half back. Do you think it's worth it to keep the event? Last time I broke even, but I split it with somebody else. That's their text. I instantly hear weak sauce, right? So my response goes, my perspective is that we have to commit to workshops or events we want to do and then push to fill them with our goal number of attendees. Commit, make it happen, tell everyone, choose only winning. Like, quit being wishy-washy. Just say yes. Say yes.
I can't beat myself up right now. I did this to Alex. I chatted with Alex too. I was just like, how many hours did we just burn through? And I can't look back. It's just learning at this point. Like, how many sleepless nights were not worth it? And
well, we have to give ourselves. This is the power of grace, right? Grace is not a term owned by religious institutions, right? Grace is acknowledging that we are human. We go through cycles, we go through phases, we go through different seasons of our lives. And sometimes we have a phase where we cannot see the answer in front of us.
Yeah.
Okay, fine. Right? Like I go through phases where I know I'm in this I'm waiting to go back up the mountain. I hate this phase. And when I'm in it, I have to be like, all right, just give up the fact that you're in the middle of it. Go do something else. And every time I just go and do something else, oh, look. Dun, 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 dun.
Yeah.
And a quote from this book, which I thought was very powerful. It's one of the last things I read last night. It's about coasting. Anyway, I can summarize it.
Oh, no, yeah.
Essentially says, if you are coasting through life, most likely you are going downhill. Who wants to go downhill?
Oof, that's a damn.
Is that from the rhinoceros book?
Yes.
Holy shit, that's a big one.
Right, and like so the book is it's silly and a little kiddish, like, but the things it says, I appreciate it's intentional, right? Like these are the illustrations. There are illustrations in this book.
Oh, hell yeah.
So there's
awesome.
something really great about being honest and silly at the same time, because we take everything too seriously.
Oh man. Travis Pastrana, I'm sure we all know him. He's jumping cars and such. And he did this like biggest Subaru jump, 200 miles an hour in one of his Gymkhana videos he just did. And there was a behind the scenes and like, how did you come up with the math and trajectory? He's like, I got an app on the App Store, and like this guy's just like literally has 2 kids, family, everything, legacy, and he's just risking his life from that answer. And I'm like, that's elite. He's figured it out. Like,
But what's the question he asks himself every day?
pushing limits. And yeah,
Wouldn't it be fun if?
yeah, he's the yeah.
Every day. Wouldn't it be fun if I could jump from one building to another? Like that Panama Nitro Circus stuff is like, no, that would not be fun for me. I'm glad it's fun for you. I enjoy watching it, but that would not be on my list. Right? But every day he's like, wouldn't it be cool if? And they just make something up.
Yeah.
So there's so much power in that space. Richard Branson, wouldn't it be cool if I could have an airline that was like a party every day? Wouldn't it be cool if I could have my own island that was a party every day? Oh, okay. He just keeps doing it. So
I need to do my best to stay in this space. I think I'm glad it's recorded because I think I'll play this back for a little bit of reflection.
mhm.
Motivation doesn't really work fully for me. It's there, it helps, but it's not like a longevity thing. But yeah, yeah.
So in lieu of tattooing it on your body, at least have a post-it that says, wouldn't it be fun if?
Yeah.
And what a cool thing to get to start asking Travis every day.
And I'm forever grateful I named him Travis because of Pastronas. Yeah.
All right,
Yeah.
I have 3 minutes to wrap it up for today because my screen door guy is here at 9:20. Super exciting time of life over here. Watch out. So final thoughts, final questions.
I feel like I hijacked the whole thing, so hopefully we got some good stuff for everybody.
Oh, it was by design.
Yes.
It was not hijacked at all.
Thank you guys. That's a better
It's
way.
good stuff.
Got to read more to get better on my words.
Madness. Yeah.
Wouldn't it be fun if? There you go. Make a digital footprint for everybody. That's going on my
Yeah.
right here.
And on my to-do list is, wouldn't it be fun if I created Post-its for everybody in advance so you don't have to write them down?
Oh, you could do a total We Are Strangers.
I do enjoy writing, like handwriting, you know. I follow this Instagram person who it's all only handwritten stuff. He'll go to like museums and events and exhibitions, whatever, gets famous artists, and they can write whatever they want, but it's always handwritten.
Mhm. I do too. And I purposely I always want to use a Sharpie because I like my handwriting in Sharpie form only.
Oh yeah.
Mhm.
See, I'm more of a pencil guy, but it's also with the format. Like,
Yep.
I don't know, it works. But yeah, maybe I don't know. Need to check out the Sharpies.
Mhm. Well, guys, you are incredible. I am so proud and excited that you brought big, juicy things to these last 2 sessions. I will share this recording. I will include the Sphere of Life download again in that recap email. I'll put the assignments in, but get excited for our final session for this Mastermind series. And we will tackle Tomas, and we will tackle whatever Lucas brings the next session. And then we'll kind of go through a wrap up and go be awesome exercise as well too. But thank
Sweet.
you so much.
Thank
for
you.
taking
Thank you,
my
guys.
morning the right way. Okay. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.